Ohrid is one of North Macedonia's most beautiful destinations, known for its lake views, historic churches, and UNESCO status. The best part? It feels surprisingly under the radar. In this video, we'll show you the best things to do in Ohrid, plus where we stayed, the one souvenir you can't miss, the best place to try Ohrid Trout, and all the info you need to enjoy this lakeside town to the fullest. It's day 1 and it's lunchtime, so we headed straight to Ohrid's Old Bazaar Street. Dating back to the Ottoman period, this is the busiest part of Ohrid, lined with shops, cafes, and restaurants. Food-wise, prices are definitely bumped up to tourist prices, but it's not exorbitant or anything like you'll find in Lake Como or Bay of Kotor. You can definitely find something to suit your budget. But another reason to visit Ohrid's Old Bazaar Street is for a truly local souvenir. For one, there's filigree jewelry, a traditional North Macedonian craft featuring delicate metalwork. But the real star is the Ohrid Pearl. These handmade pearls use a secret technique with shells and fish scales, and they've been worn by royalty and celebrities. But while you'll see Ohrid pearls sold everywhere, from street stalls to jewelry shops, the true tradition comes from just two families, Talevi and Filevi. That's why locals still point travelers to their stores today. Next, we headed up to Varosh, the old hillside neighborhood with breathtaking views of Lake Ohrid. This is one of Ohrid's oldest residential areas, featuring traditional Macedonian houses and home to tortoises. Strolling its narrow pebbled streets and small alleys is a quiet treat. While exploring, we also came across the ancient theatre of Ohrid. Tucked right into a neighborhood, this feels like stumbling across history hiding in plain sight. This small theatre dates back to the 3rd century BC, when Ohrid was called Light Knidos. Under Roman rule, it hosted gladiatorial combats and public executions, including of early Christians. Today, it's pretty amazing to think that locals live their everyday lives right beside this 2,000-year-old relic. After that, further up the hill is Samuel's Fortress, which has been around for more than 1,000 years. As a defensive stronghold, it protected Ohrid, a key political and religious cultural center. It's named after Tsar Samuel, who made Ohrid the capital of the First Bulgarian Empire. You can climb the fortress walls for sweeping views of the city and lake, but keep in mind, it closes early, around 4 p.m. Ohrid isn't just beautiful, it's also one of Europe's oldest towns and was once a major Christian center in the Balkans. A big part of the allure is exploring the many ancient churches that dot the town, one of them being the Church of St. Sophia. Built in the 9th century AD, it's one of Ohrid's oldest churches. Its 11th century frescoes are among the finest examples of medieval Balkan art, depicting biblical scenes with vivid detail. When the Ottomans arrived, St. Sophia was briefly turned into a mosque. Unlike many other churches though, it survived almost intact, which makes walking inside feel like stepping into the 9th century. Now just nearby is a tiny but fascinating paper museum. Paper making came here in the 1500s, and this tiny workshop, opened in the 90s, keeps this ancient craft alive. You can check out equipment based on old Chinese paper techniques, as well as handmade paper for sale. The highlight is the printing press, an exact replica of the Gutenberg press, one of only 2 in the world. After all that history, Lake Ohrid was only a stone's throw away, and we made a beeline to the boardwalk. Wrapped along a cliff, surrounded by crystal clear water, this is one of my favorite parts of Ohrid. Scenic, serene, and super photo worthy. There are cafes along the way if you want to pause and take it all in, but we kept moving. because up ahead lies the most postcard perfect spot in Ohrid. This is probably the best photographed church in all of North Macedonia, and for good reason. The church itself is tiny, built in the 13th century, but the setting, perched above Lake Ohrid, is one of the most breathtaking spots in town, and yes, it's still an active place of worship. Since the inside is small, we didn't go in, and honestly, the views on the outside are the main draw. From here, it's a short hike up a forest to Plaoshnik, one of the most important archaeological sites in Ohrid. It's a place tied closely to the origins of Slavic literacy. This is where St. Clement, a Bulgarian scholar, founded the Ohrid Literary School. He taught the first generations of Slavs to read and write here, ultimately shaping Slavic literacy and Christian traditions for centuries to come. Sadly, the church was destroyed during the Ottoman period, and what you see here has been reconstructed. After an afternoon of exploring history, we found this little artisanal coffee shop with a variety of beans available. It might look like a takeaway stand, but inside, it's actually connected to a restaurant featuring these awesome seats right by the lake. The coffee, of course, is delicious and said to be the best in Ohrid. Near the lower gate of the city wall is the port of Ohrid, where boat operators gather, offering boat tours around Ohrid, including sunset cruises. There are many options to choose from, but generally, smaller boats and more stops are more expensive. The salespeople can be enthusiastic, though never pushy. But to avoid the sales pitch, we took our time comparing options online and booked our tour for the next day. Then we ended the evening with a quiet dinner, excited for our lake adventure ahead. Early next morning, we were on a boat for our tour. It was spacious and there were less than 20 of us. Most opted to sit on the deck, so we basically had the whole lower deck to ourselves. On the other hand, we saw boats with the cheapest tickets were packed uncomfortably to the brim. After about an hour, we arrived at the open-air archaeological museum called Bay of Bones. At first glance, it feels more like stepping into a movie set than a museum. It recreates a prehistoric settlement that was found nearby, with a replica village of about 20 huts built over the water. The name might sound eerie, but it comes from the animal bones discovered here, along with relics like pottery and tools. You can see how people here lived over 3,000 years ago, including how they slept and how they kept warm. However, if you're short on time, you can totally skip this without missing much, because I think our next attraction is worth spending more time at. That is the Monastery of St. Naum, located on the southeastern shore of Lake Ohrid. Like St. Clement, St. Naum was dedicated to spreading Christianity among the Slavs. Around 905 AD, he founded his monastery here, which also produced manuscripts and trained clergy. Much of the original monastery is gone, and the church was rebuilt around the 16th century. There's a small fee to enter the chapel, where frescoes depict St. Naum's life. His tomb also draws pilgrims, who press their ears to it in hopes of hearing St. Naum's heartbeat. The courtyard, free to explore, features lovely lake views and beautiful peacocks roaming around. Next to the monastery lies the Black Drim Springs, where water from the national park filters into a crystal clear lake. A boat ride here is a popular activity. The area is also known for the Ohrid Trout, an endemic fish prized for its sweet and delicate flavor. Our local host says the best place to try it is Restaurant Ostrovo, set on a little island in the middle of the Black Drim Springs. Indeed, it was incredibly tender and juicy, easily the best fish we've ever eaten. There are tables right by the lake too, creating a dreamy atmosphere. If you are visiting the monastery, we highly recommend stopping by Ostrovo. With our final day in Ohrid winding down, we still had a little time before our boat back. So we found a snack bar by the lake, ordered ice cream, and settled into some of the best seats overlooking the water. Now, for a practical question, where to stay in Ohrid? As much as we would have loved to stay right on the lake, our budget didn't quite stretch it that far. Instead, we found an apartment a few streets from the harbour, still within walking distance of everything. We only needed a taxi from the bus station to get here. The apartment had all the comforts we needed, thoughtfully furnished, and our friendly host was always ready with tips. If you are arriving by bus from Skopje like we did, don't miss the stop at the rest area for makitsa, a Bulgarian-style fried dough. Hot, crispy on the outside and soft inside, it's a must-try among Skopje locals traveling to Ohrid. We also tried a regular donut here, which was delicious too. Now, Ohrid's lakeside charm is unforgettable, but our trip actually began in Skopje, the bustling capital. With a nickname like Disneyland of the Balkans, it's a totally different side of North Macedonia. Click here to see that video now.